अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
क्या हाल है?
बस बेटा, कैसे चल रहे हो? ओपन एपीआई समझ में आ गया कुछ?
बिल्कुल सर।
अच्छा, अभी रिकॉर्डिंग चल रही है, तुम रिकॉर्डिंग बंद कर दो अभी 1 मिनट।
अच्छा, ये रिकॉर्डिंग
ओके, लेट्स स्टार्ट। आर यू रेडी?
यस सर, एवरीथिंग इज सर।
Okay, today we are going to basically finish off Open API specifications. And from the next class, we are going to introduce our own tool to help you define APIs and create APIs. Penacloud has developed a tool for GraphQL. Right now, it has implemented the GraphQL APIs, and later on, we will also implement the Open API specification. But today, let's finish off. I think it will take 45 minutes to finish off what do you call Open API specifications. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes sir, it's visible.
Now we are going to finish off chapter 7 and chapter 8. As we have already seen that up till now, before Open API specification, we did not have a way to basically document the Open API specification and basically generate code from it. We were developing for the last many years, we have been developing REST-based APIs, but without any specifications. Now we have a mature specification which everybody is supporting, and it is called Open API, as I already know, for REST-based applications. Today we are going to see how authentication is implemented and security is implemented in REST-based Open API specification. As you can see, I think, Varis, you have already covered this, but I'm just going to, in the last class, I'm just revising it a little bit so that we can finish out this chapter. Am I correct, Omas?
Yes sir, yes.
Yes. So as you can see, in the post request, we have a security property, and in the security property, we have defined a my user token. And what it is saying is that it is going to use it can be anything. It can be my token, it can be my authentication. You can give it any name you want. And after that, if it is a normal API key, you just put an array in front of it. You don't give any variables. For open another type of API, there can be other variables. Now let's go. Now the first thing to understand is, I'm just revising what, look at this. If we are posting a reviews, if head, there can be two. Post reviews means you are adding a review. It can have a authorization header and without an authorization header. With the authorization header, if you provide the authorization header, which is my user token, which is valid, it will give a 403 invalid token. If it is invalid. If it is valid, it will basically create the review with that particular API user ID. Now, how to create the user ID? That has nothing to define the security, but the main thing is that you basically create two REST-based things for this application endpoints. The first one is users post, in which you create a user. As you can see, you create a username with a password and the full name. You send it, and if it is with a username and password, if it is valid, everything data is valid and is no duplicate previously exists with the user ID, it will give you a 201 response, which means everything worked and user successfully created. Once you have created a user, then you create a token for it, authentication token. And in that authentication token, basically you send your user name and password, and in response, you will get a token of type string. In that token, you will include that token on the header of every, every request. Now look at this thing. This is basically Swagger editor, and basically it's saying how to basically do these two requests. Basically, in order to include authentication in your application APIs, you basically provide an endpoint for creating a user and provide an endpoint for creating a token. Now look at, now that was the two. Now before posting a reviews, in the review endpoint post, you need to add a review. I define security and say my user token. And in the separate section of components, in the security schemes, I define my user token with type is equal to API key, and it is in the header, and its name is authorization. Therefore, you have defined how user tokens will be added in the header, which will be created in the token request. And from that point onwards, you will include the token in the header of every request. There can be other, we are just doing API key. It can be OAuth or OpenID Connect and other type of authentications, but this is basically the simplest one. Now look at this thing, OpenAI. In components, user security scheme, my user token, API key, in header, authorization, as I already mentioned. And in your, this will be a component of security. In each, what do you call, endpoint where you apply it, you just provide a security property with one my user token. It can be many. This means in YAML array, there can be many other security schemes also as well applied to a particular API. This is one of them. Therefore, it's a very easy thing. And to add a security scheme, as I already mentioned, you put a security, you can add many security schemes. In one, this one, we are putting security 1, security 2, and we define a component separately in security schemes. It's comparatively very easy. So, any questions, my friends? Wes, could you revise the whole chapter?
Yeah, basically in this chapter, we have seen that how to add an authorization and authentication. Basically, for that, we have to use the security. Under the security, we have to define our authentication. And for our authentication, what we are going to do is we are going to create a component. In the component, we define our security schemas. And in the security schemas, we define that what type of security we want, like the API key or in the header, as we have seen in the diagram. So that's it. This is what the chapter include.
Right, basically. Therefore, you can think of it in each endpoint, you define a security scheme, and in a different component, you define the security scheme. You just name it here and give it the requirements. This way, every time, depending on the security, if it's API key in header, you will have to add a header and in each request. Before we go forward, any questions?
I think
Bilal, any questions or anybody else?
No, I think no, sir.
Okay. Preparing a hosting API documentation. Now, the thing is, we have more or less taught you and taught ourselves how Open API specification work, how to define it. Now, how to use documentation, how to generate documentation using it. Now, as you can see, that we need a sophisticated kind of this for this form store APIs, we need this kind of authentication. And in this kind of authentication documentation, I don't know how to create this kind of documentation, because what they do is, as you can see in the Swagger tool, you were seeing the documentation on the right hand side. We will use the same APIs to create the right hand side markdown in markdown and other Open API specifications. Now look at this thing. It has a lot of different things. I'm going to go directly to the look at this thing. Now look at this thing. I'm saying version V1, title form stall API, description of what does the first thing is. The first time I saw it, I got confused. What is this? What the hell is this? This is saying that in the description, you will have multi-line input. Now look at the first line. The first line is a normal text, API writing reviews about favorites or worst form stalls and etc. Then you are saying contact. In the contact, you are giving it the name, the email address of the developer, and the URL of the developer, the contract address, the license, name of the license, which is Apache 2.0, and it is the end of the info section. Then we are saying what are the external documentation. You give a particular URL and description is Swagger Hub and where it is found. Therefore, here you add in the info section, you in the description thing, by saying multi-line, you can define a lot of different properties, as you can see here. Then let's go move forward. Now, what I want to do is basically add a picture, how to do that. There is a in GitHub, when you write the README file, you do it by writing it in Markdown. Anyways, you must have also written a lot of Markdown files when you're documenting the stuff. In the Markdown file, that is called Git, but the problem is there are a little bit differences between different Markdown. Basically, you write a simple rich text format. Markdown is a simple rich text format, which you can remember, and which will automatically, HTML will be generated for it automatically. Now, OpenAPI has implemented the common markdown. The other one is the GitHub flavor. The other one is which is specific to GitHub, and this one is common markdown. Now let's see what are the basics of markdown. If you want to make anything italic, you put 2 stars around it. If you want to make anything bold, put 2 stars around it. You can also put underscore, but I also usually do stars. In inline code, you basically black quotation or whatever you want to call it. Then heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. For a link, you basically put it in square brackets and then the round brackets. For an image, you put it like this. For list, you can put star and item number, or 1 period, 2 period, 3 period. It will create a horizontal rule. Horizontal rule is just put 3 dashes, and code block as already sent. You can put triple quotation marks, single quotation marks, and it will appear like this. Now let's see how it is generated. In the description, as I already mentioned, you had put in it multi-line. This one was the text, and this one is the markdown for image.
Is the end of section guided by the indentation?
Yes. I think somebody my friend, somebody has to mute their mic. Anyway, now look at the we are just doing documentation. So markdown is not that difficult. I do it all the time. This is the header, and we have this one. Reviews will be bold. Anonymous will be, I think, italic, and so on. As I already mentioned, it's relatively very simple. In the review section, again, if you want to start a new line, we say we put a HTML line ending here, and so on. This is very easy. Now this one will be converted into a list. Look again. My example reviews. This is a picture of 5-star. This is again line break, and so on. There's another facility in OpenAPI specification, which is tags. Now tags, look at this thing. You define tags, just like you define servers, you define tags. Basically, what is a tag? Tag is nothing but a group of endpoints. I will usually use tags for defining microservices. If there are 3 or 4, for example, user microservice, for example, reviews microservice, 2 or 3 endpoints which are connected, and I want to group them, I will use tags. And first we define the tags. Here we define a reviews tag, and this one by dash means array. And here in each endpoint, I'll define a tag. You can have multiple tags. So therefore, in the tags section, you can define multiple tags. Here you can define the different tags which are implemented by a particular endpoint, or that means basically which group does it belong. Now look at this thing. Reviews get tags. It means basically this thing, this review endpoint belongs to the review microservice. I want to think like this, but of course they are not saying it. This is my interpretation. You can add description to tags, and basically I use it for defining microservice. You can do it whatever you want. Basically to group. Look at this example. We have 5 endpoints. In the 5 endpoints, we have defined 2 tags. One is the reviews tag and the other one is the users tag. You can think of it as the reviews microservice and users microservice, and each microservice has a in one microservice reviews microservice we have 3 endpoints, and in one microservice user we have 2 endpoints. And we have now description of the tags. Easy, concept is very easy. Of course, how you use it is the thing. Now, the question is, when you have created all this API specification with all the markdown, all the tags and everything, how do you see? I know how to see it in Swagger tool, but how do you post it to a static server? So in order to post it to a static server, look at this thing. This is giving a HTML page. Nothing, quite easy. Basically, you include a script from this URL, Swagger UI. And in the Swagger UI bundle, you basically give the URL of your YAML file, which is OpenAPI specification. And this page, now you can host it anywhere. In this book, they have used it to host it on Netlify, but you can host it anywhere. And like they're showing it, of course, you can host it on AWS because we are using host AWS. You can do it. Exactly, you just upload the file and basically this thing appears. It basically converts OpenAPI specifications into HTML, which you can show on any browser.
Sir, basically we are trying to create a UI of.
We are creating a UI for the documentation.
Whole documentation and for reviews.
Yes, but not for review, but for all the APIs.
Thank you, sir.
Now, Wes, would you like to finish this chapter off? Then we will basically start talking about how to make money, which will interest everyone.
Well, it's a very easy and short topic actually. In this chapter, we have just discussed that after creating your YAML file, what will you do with that, right? If anyone cannot see that, what your YAML file is doing and what your open specification is doing. So for that, in this chapter, we have studied first how you can format and make it more user-friendly for the other person and for the other peoples. And after creating and formatting your YAML file, you can deploy it on any free server. So a user can or other person can see that what open specification you have just created. In the first section and the previous section, we have seen that how you can create your YAML and open API specification. After creating and after formatting your YAML specification and your documentation, then you have to show to the people that this is what we have, the API will do. This is what I have created. So in this chapter, we have just seen that how you can format it for the better understanding, for the better user experience. You can format it in a many ways. After formatting that, what you have to do is just create a HTML file and include your open API YAML file and just host it anywhere so people can access it.
Thank you, Wes. Any questions?
Sir,
When
Yes, Faisal?
can I? So for the description part, there are kids in the house. For the description part, sorry about that. For the description part, is it the indentation which will determine the start and end of the description? Like we have multi-line descriptions. We have the symbol which we use for multi-line description having dash, and I forgot the name, with the symbol of or usually which we used. So do we just depend on the indentation for that? And the
Yes,
second
yes.
is and the second is for this display page, can we have like can we place this function, onload function, anywhere in the page where we have all the other elements as well, like having on the sidebar or having other elements on the
Yeah,
page?
anywhere where this where text is required, you can have a multi-line thing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sir,
Any other
On
questions?
UI. Yes, sir, I have a question. Sir, on when we display UI, sir, basically we are trying to do, we will generate our URL. Am I right, sir? For the
Not a
posting
URL.
and
You will generate this thing. What is showing on the screen will generate a HTML file, and in that HTML file, you can basically put this file on any server. It can be on Netlify or any server, and people can come to that server, and basically you can also do it on your local host. But local host is only for you, for people to able to see your open API specification documentation. You basically create this file and host it on any machine, on any server.
it's like a website, sir. It's
like a just
Yes, yes.
informative website about API.
Yes, yes,
Correct?
exactly.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question? Okay. Now I'm stopped sharing my screen, and now I'll start the now. What we are going to do is, in the rest of the class, I'll take a few minutes, and in the next few minutes, what I will do is basically give you a description of what we are going to study going forward. Whatever I will talk about today, Wes, we are going to repeat it in the next class also. Because I want each class module to be independent, and so therefore, but to get your interest going. Now, everybody knows we are moving towards the API economy. What is the API economy? We have already covered, but I'm going to repeat it again, where developers are buying and selling API subscriptions and using each other APIs. App developers are using other people's APIs and so on. Now, this API, how to develop these APIs, we want to design it using API first techniques, which is in API first technique, what we basically do is define the specification first and then create the code. In GraphQL, we first define the schema, and in OpenAPI, we first define the OpenAPI specification and then create the code for it. From the next class, Penacloud has developed a tool which will help you do it, which is called the Penacloud CLI, command line interface. We are going to cover in the next class or two. This, it will not take long. It is a very easy tool to use. How to use that tool? So basically, how to use a cloud-based serverless APIs quickly. Of course, business logic will have to be written by you. Database logic will have to be written by you, but it will create the complete infrastructure and help you continuously deploy it. It is going to be an open source tool. Faisal, Bilal, you are Bashir and Raza, and every one of you can also start contributing to this open source tool. Well, how it will help you, Faisal, how it will help you, Bilal, is this. Why, and I will also request Uwais to become part of the this thing of the, because in order to help you create your profile, being an open source developer creates a lot of buzz with the customers. It will help you in your development as well and help you become cloud developers so that anytime anyone wants, you are developing an API, you can do it very quickly. Now, this is the first part of it. In the next two classes, or one class, I don't know exactly, in the next two classes, right now the tool is in stealth mode. We have not shared the URL, but before the start of next class, God willing, we will basically share the URL and then we will start discussing that tool. It has been developed by colleagues of OS in Panacloud, and now we are going to make it open source in the next few. He has already searched it, but we have not published the enhanced version, Bilal. So therefore, you will have to wait a little bit. Huh?
I will check it.
I will check, sir.
You are a very sharp guy, Bilal. So, and now the second part is even more fascinating and important. OVAS is also a little bit, but actually a lot of it very interesting. Now, let me talk about. Let me get relaxed and share the details with you guys. Faisal, the issue is, the problem is in Pakistan and underdeveloped countries, developers, and even America, how do you monetize your code? Usually developers were basically working for companies or working as freelancers. But that is a job. Even freelancing is a job. You're providing services. The only difference between freelancing and working as a job is that in both of the cases, you are basically on a monthly rent, monthly payment, or freelancing is for part-time work. Now, what we want is the developers to be able to own their own companies. But in order to create a company, the first question is, startup, what kind of product we are going to build? We have already learned that the future is going to be the API economy. So therefore, we have the answer for that. We are going to start thinking, Faisal, Bilal, start thinking, Bashir, you start thinking about defining your own APIs. What kind of APIs will be useful to other developers they will be willing to pay for? But so therefore, the first part of the question, how to develop APIs quickly, we are going to give you an answer in the next class with the Panacloud CLI tool, which will help you develop APIs very quickly. But the second part is even more interesting, which OVAS loves, is how do we basically think about it? We are into Web 3.0 and things are becoming clearer to me, OVAS also. It's not that I know the answers, but we have been thinking about this for the last year and a half. Everything in the virtual world and the real world will be tokenized. Now, what do I mean by that? We have already covered tokenization in the initial classes, but after the next two classes, we will start moving back to it. Imagine you own a land and you want to sell it or trade it. You will represent it by an NFT on the blockchain. Now, it might be real land, maybe in the society I'm living, or virtual land, which I don't understand, to be honest, I don't understand that much about virtual land. OVAS might give you a better idea about that. Anyway, it might be real or it will be represented by an NFT. Now think about it, APIs. Now, if you're talking about one land, you can talk about NFT. But if you're talking about, you can't buy 5 land plots, you don't have the money. Real estate is very expensive everywhere, even in Pakistan. If you say, maybe my friend Bashir wants to invest money in land in defense, but he only has spare 50,000 rupees or $50,000. You can't buy land in $50,000. Can't we make a DAO for it? What is a DAO? Decentralized Autonomous Organization. We make a DAO, and in that DAO, a lot of people contribute money. And using the money of that DAO, now I had difficulty, yes, exactly like ICU, Faisal. I had difficulty first understanding what DAO is. This is going to be a future. It's going to be huge. Right now, Zishan is working tirelessly to become an expert in DAO creation. DAO, previously, for example, I registered PanaCloud. What did I do? I basically went to Security and Exchange Commission, filled a form, hired a lawyer, hired an accountant. They helped me create a company in Security and Exchange Commission. Basically gave me some papers. I took that paper and went to the bank and showed them that paper, and they allowed me to create a bank account for that company. So therefore, company is providing me two things. Number one is that it is allowing me to create a bank account, and second of all, it is allowing me to give limited liability. Limited liability for those who not have a business background. Limited liability means that if something goes wrong in the company, PanaCloud is a separate entity, I am a separate entity. You cannot sue me for the money I have. You can only sue me for the money I have invested in PanaCloud. Now, DAO, by definition, is a smart contract. And smart contracts have addresses on Ethereum blockchain. So therefore, you can create a bank account instantaneously. And there can be the number of shareholders of DAO, basically members of DAO, who hold tokens to it. So therefore, if I want to buy, for example, I'm living in Defense Society in Karachi. If I want to buy the entire society plots, not one of them, I'm talking about buying the entire society from individuals. What I'll do is create a DAO, invite overseas Pakistanis, create a DAO, ask the overseas Pakistanis to basically create, pool their funds using their DAO. Of course, I cannot misuse the funds. The first thing they'll think about it, why should I give it to Zia? Normally I've got a very good reputation that I'm not going to run away with people's money, but still I might get married and then become greedy. Who knows? And if somebody who's putting his saving in will be afraid. So in future, the day is already arrived. In 2022, people like, for example, somebody wanted to buy the Constitution of America, the original document. They raised $30 million. Of course, they were not able to buy it because the price now jumped to $60 million. But they were able to raise $30 million. Imagine if I could create a DAO to buy entire lands of my society. Pakistani love to invest in real estate. I can do it now. Everybody overseas, Pakistani living in 50 countries, 100 countries, they can pool their resources to buy. So therefore, now think about it. We will have DAOs to buy things in metaverse, which is a virtual world. We will have DAOs which will serve as a gateway and so on. There's too many things. I don't want to talk too much, otherwise nobody will understand anything. So we are entering into a new world. Now think about it. Now you're going to ask me what has it to do with API economy? Now, I want Uwais to be able to start his own startup. I want Bashir to start his own startup. But the first thing he will ask question is, sir, how do I raise the money? That's a fair question, Wes. Because of course I can work, but a single developer can do only so much. I need to hire 4 or 5 developers to complete my project. Even even my idea is good. Now think about this thing. We are going to come out of stealth in the next week. And we are going to introduce you to these concepts. We are going to create a DAO for each API. Let me repeat. If you have a difficulty understanding, think about it. We are going to start a new company on the blockchain. Every API is, of course, a new company. And every API will create a new DAO or a new startup or a new company or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter what you want to call it. It will be on the blockchain. I'm not going to go into SEC, Security and Exchange Commission of Pakistan. I'm going to the DAO, to the Ethereum blockchain to create it. Then the first part is how to create APIs quickly. We are going to teach you in the next class. After that, we are going to start learning how to create DAOs, how to create NFTs, how to create tokens, how to tokenize the economy. Everything will be an API, and all APIs will be managed by DAOs because it solves another problem. Not just fundraising. It solves another problem of trust between API developers. There are 2 kinds of trust problems. Trust problems between the API developer and the API owners and the API investors. There are 3 parties involved to it. I know most of the things you will not be understanding at this point. In the next class, first we are going to learn how to develop APIs quickly. And then we are going to tokenize APIs. But once you learn how to tokenize APIs, you will be able to tokenize everything in the economy. And my friends, if you do it right, you will be more powerful and have more resources than the State Bank of Pakistan. I'm not talking about United Bank or Habib Bank. I'm talking about State Bank of Pakistan, which basically prints notes. Right now, last year, the token economy in Pakistan, a third world country, was crossed $20 billion. The global token economy is $3 trillion. I was going to say 300 billion. It is not 300 billion. It is reached $3 trillion. So these are the things which we are going to start learning. In the next class or 2, this has already been documented in the Penacloud APIs thing. Another team, Uwais, is not going to share his thing. He is also working on the portal. And what I want from you guys is basically, first of all, the understanding of the thing. If you think about it, all the economy, different economy aspects will be tokenized. And everything will be different. The token will be the same in the sense of coding. But how to implement it? For example, API tokens will be different. How the implementation of DAOs will be different. And we are going to start learning this. The good thing is our Urdu section guys are also very interested in this area, of course. And I've already shared a video where Shahjahan had made $1 million. And therefore, now we are always talking about, in our company, we are saying post Shahjahan, because now everybody wants to jump into this area. And a lot of people are making a lot of money. So therefore, from before the next class, we are going to start introducing the CLI and asking you to become part of the team and start, hopefully, in 2022 will be a year which will make a lot of money. Money which will be fair and money which will be earned by contributing to the society, well-being of society. And basically automating it, tokenizing it, and that's the best way to make money. By first doing the best thing is, think about it, that you are trying to contribute to society, not just in Pakistan, American society, whatever society, human beings, helping them, making the economy more efficient. Right now, it is very inefficient. Think about Pakistani government and the US government. They are just printing notes and made this society inflation. What this inflation is coming, hitting us all. What is the reason? They are just printing money. We have to solve this issue and take things into all our own hands. Thank you so very much. Wes, from next class, we are going to cover the Panacloud CLI. And after that, we are talking about Solidity. That repository has also been published. We are going to cover the Solidity. And by the in the next month or two, all of you will know how to create money on the blockchain and how to tokenize real world assets and virtual assets in the metaverse. Will be there. Thank you so very much. And I wish you all the best of luck. But what I do is, I never think about money. I'm telling you honestly. I think about contribution. Money for you will come because you are contributing to the society. And this is the best way. You are not worried about it. You are not running after the money, but you are running after contributing, making contributions to the society in whatever country you live. Thank you so very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.